Hey, welcome to SC Custom Designs, where we're going to talk about a subject that is, it's important. The subject is about sanding, and we're at the stage with our bandsaw boxes that we have to now pay the price for beauty. So essentially, we have to sand these guys. You can see that there's a lot of contour, so on and so forth. I'm going to bring this in a little bit closer to show you what we have to deal with. So I started sanding this with 80 grit, and you can see that from the bandsaw that we have these lines in here, bandsaw marks like this, so we have to sand all those guys out. So not as obvious in this piece at any rate. And so you may recall that when I was talking about cutting these things out, not getting too fancy with yourself with the project, because for every curve that you have, you're going to have to follow that curve, and you're going to have to sand inside that curve, and that's not so easily done. Okay, quickly. So, but I want to share some tips with you. I'm going to bring this over and show it, come a little bit closer to the camera. So essentially, I have to glue these guys up, right? I have to glue them together, and there's something that you really need to think about when you're gluing these together, and that is, when you're sanding, you do not want to sand the outer perimeter here like this. This must seat exactly the way it came apart. Now look, if I put that in there like this, you can hardly even notice that there's a line there, especially when I glue that up, right? And that's the really cool thing about bandsaw boxes. If you sand this, then it's not going to sit flush and perfect. You may recall when we were making the boxes on the bandsaw that I said, don't worry, whatever piece you cut out was going to go into itself. So when you're sanding, only sand the areas that aren't going to be joined, okay? So that's the tip. That's one of those gotchas, and you don't realize when you're cutting. Another thing, if you don't have a sharp blade on your bandsaw, okay, you're going to get a lot of those lines, and then you got, like, if you look closely, we'll just sort of, hopefully you're getting this, you can see all those lines. Well, I have to sand all those lines out. If I don't sand them out, well, it's just not going to be as nice, isn't it? Is it? I started sanding the inside of this guy, and you may notice that the lines are gone. That was 80 grit. Okay, so sanding can be tricky. You just have to think about these things when you're sanding. So that's that. Now, once we get this glued up, obviously you want to sand this before you glue this up. Imagine trying to sand the inside of this, okay, once you have your sides on. That's another one of those gotchas. So get all that done now, get this done now, and you can glue it up, and then you're good, okay? Now, once this is glued up, then you can expedite your sanding. You won't have to do the hand sanding, and I'm going to remove the camera shortly and show you all the various methods that I have for sanding, okay? But once we do all the fine stuff in here, now we can just come over here to your, I have a rigid oscillating belt sander and spindle sander. I can come over here and take care of this really fast. Voom, done. Voom, done. And even these parts here, I can, if I do it right, okay, I can get that done. One of the gotchas you're going to have is you want to be very careful when you're sanding the bottom. Remember that you cut that block out of here, and he has to fit back in there, okay? So he has to fit back in here. If you start sanding the bottom, okay, and you get carried away, you're like, oh, you go too much inside like this, okay, then you're going to have it's not going to look good. You want to follow the contour, okay? That's why I was saying when I was cutting these out on the bandsaw, don't go crazy on your waves. Try to be as straight as you can. Take a little liberty, do what you want. You'll figure that out. You'll figure it out over time that when you sand all your parts and you put it back together, you want to have those nice crisp lines like you have here. And look at it. You can't even tell, hardly, that is a drawer. Okay? On the other hand, what I've learned to do is I've learned to do a lot of improvising. And actually the outcome can be pretty cool. I'll show you what I mean. In the case of this bandsaw box, look what I did. What I did is I sanded and I rounded over on the underside. Okay? I rounded over here. Okay? I kept this straight. Okay? So that's how that goes. I actually put little skids under here with the African paddock wood. Okay? So you have, there's things you can do, and that could be something that's desired. Okay, with this is a little more subtle, but okay, I round it over, and you can see I've got some spare spots up here. There is actually something you can do about that. You can put the skids on and even out that space around there, like I did here. Hopefully you're seeing this okay. Or you can put little felt pads on the bottom. All right, that may be the answer for this guy. That way I can have the drawer exactly in the middle instead of down there. Always something you can do, my friends. So don't ever despair about a situation. All right, so we talked about sanding this part before you glue it up. Okay, so we talked about that. We talked about sanding down here. Be very careful. You might even want to do that by hand so that you keep the contour that is intended for that drawer so it can go back in. All right? You want to have the same idea here. You don't want to flatten that out, right? Because this isn't flat. This guy wants to sit in there like this. Okay? Like that. So that's that. Now, again, the tops and the bottoms, when you get these guys glued up, you can take it over to your oscillating belt sander, spindle sander, or there's so many different things you can do. All right, and you can go a lot faster. I would just caution you when you're using a unit like this, it's going to take off a lot of material really fast. So this is I think this is like an 80 grit. I actually have a 60 to 30 grit. It all depends on what you're using. So, and I would advise 220 on this guy, or 120, whatever. You want to know that it's going to take a lot of material off really fast. So then you have some extremes, my friends. Look at this. This is 320, all right, and it's like vinyl plastic. This can fit into those really interesting areas, like here when I'm getting to the finer details, and I can just go right along the contour like this. All right. There are so many methods. I'm going to dismount the camera, and we're going to take a little journey across the table. So we have pieces of sandpaper out like this, and you'll be surprised how many different ways there is to do this. I have this guy here. These are foam, and again, you got your 80 to all the various grits that you can put on there. Look. He's got that specific shape. This guy's got that shape. They all have their places. This one here is more of a rectangle. Now this over here is really cool. If you buy this guy, this is 3M, you can take a regular sheet of sandpaper. In this case, my friends, it's 400 grit. I'm going to go ahead and slice this, and I'll get 3 pieces out of this 3M. 3 pieces out of the standard size, and that will clip right onto this. All right, and this is phenomenal for getting on those flat spots. Okay, yeah, I've got this guy. This is actually the very first type of soft handle sander that I ever bought. Now I'm 55, and we didn't grow up with this stuff. So I was thrilled when I saw this. Now my hands aren't getting sore from holding something hard. Then you got these little guys. I use these guys a lot. So I've got the various grits of sandpaper there. One day it dawned on me that I needed to split them. I split this one guy because I simply couldn't get, even with as small as this is, into some cranny that I was working on. Okay, so I just took it over to my bandsaw and I split it right in half. Okay, there's so many things. I do a lot of hand sanding, my friends. I find that when I got to use the power tools, that's fine. Power sanders, I got sanders way in the back. Let's see if we can actually see them right through the middle of the bandsaw. Back there, I can't see it. It's too dark. At any rate, I have more sanders. You know, you got your hand, your oscillating sanders. You could spend a lot of money on sanders. So I've got various types that I use, and that's that. And so I have the dragster back there. I've used the dragster hand belt sander. Now here's the cool thing these days with the batteries. The battery operated, they have routers, hand routers that are battery operated. So I'm shaking the camera, sorry. And you have sanders that will take the batteries, and you no longer have to have things plugged in. So there you go. I find that I will even use, and let's see if I turn this around here. I will even use a dowel. I have various dowel sizes buried over there in my my bench, my roll top bench over there, because that's really great for getting in these corners that are concave like this, that are rounded. Also, your spindle sanders, like this guy here, you can quickly set this guy, take that belt sander off, put the spindle sander on, and that's another way to get inside. You're going to get your methods. I've got a sander that's down there. That's that's longer. It's stationary. It's got the disc. Let's see if I can get a shot of that. It's got the disc, and it's got the belt sander, which is longer. It all depends on what you're working on. So, thanks for tuning in to SC Custom Designs. This is part 3, I suppose, on making the bandsaw boxes for a wedding gift. Just look those up. It's really nice, I think, to be able to follow, the progress. Now look inside there, my friends. Look inside there, my friends. That. Oh, service has stopped. I'm not sure if my video stopped, but it didn't. Yay. So if I zoom in a little bit, look, that's basically nested trays, right, that are inside of the box. That's going to be a little bit of a surprise for they're not customer, it's a wedding gift, but that is really cool. That's what this is. These are nested trays. Okay, this all came out of a block of wood. The block of wood for these guys are over there, and let's see if I can zoom in there. All right, if you're watching this on a big TV, I apologize. You're probably going to need some Dramamine. All right, so hey, thanks for coming into SC Custom Designs, the shop. This is part 3 on the sanding. So I have to sand, then I have to glue them up. Some tips on gluing up your units. If you put too much pressure and you're not really paying attention, and these pieces slide back and forth like this, right? You're going to do it in stages. You're going to glue this guy up first, okay? Just take your time. And I would see the glue bot over there. I did an episode on the glue bot. I just got that, by the way. There's one there. There's a little one hiding behind my coffee mug over there. These are called the glue bots. They allow you to control applying the glue, especially in the case where you have to put that glue on little lips like this, right? So, you know, I mean, I dealt with it through the years, and I take the glue bottle. I use Type Bond, and you know, that's what I use. But people are thinking about, you know, how to make your life a little bit easier. So I'm going to use that. So you're going to want to make sure that, and you don't want to squeeze too hard. Okay, make sure, and you want to wipe up that glue inside, my friends. If you don't, when you go to stain it, for example, you're going to see the glue. Okay, a little trick. This may sound a little bit crazy, but here's a little bit of a tip. Once you get that guy glued up, go immediately to your sink. And if you have one of those spray nozzles where you can spray the glue out of it. I know it may sound crazy, but it works. Now I can't even tell that I've actually glued up a project, whereas in the past I would take the Q-tips, right, and I would very carefully wipe up all the excess glue, and then even after wiping it up, I still got some in there. Glue is what it does. Okay, so it just seals and bonds. So I will take that up to the sink. I actually did an episode where I showed you that, and I sprayed it with my high power spray in my sink, and voila. There you go. I'd like to hear your tips as well. Please comment, subscribe to my channel if you like what you're seeing, and follow the project. The project is fun. We'll talk about all sorts of things as we do our videos, my friends. You'll learn this, that, and the other. You just never know what I'm going to say or talk about in the episodes. So thanks for coming. Take care and stay tuned. One video a week or more, depends on how active I am.